south. 3 points will do fine. We'll take them home up the A9. We are the Celtics, Ross County boys. From the tailends where you'll hear our noise. We will follow Ross County, born to be a staggy. We'll be dancing in the Dingwall streets. With the farmers and the black house sheep. Come on, the county! We always managed to stay up in the finals of the Scottish Cup. And still we dare to dream. No limits to this football team. We are the Celtics, Ross County boys. From the tailends where you'll hear our noise. We will follow Ross County, born to be a staggy. We are the Celtics, Ross County boys. From the tailends where you'll hear our noise. We will follow Ross County, born to be a staggy. Come on, the county!
So welcome back to room 1-1, should I say. Our second of the season, and the Hoops are back in the road in a game versus Ross County. And before the big match on Saturday afternoon in Dingwall, I am absolutely delighted to welcome back Ross County supporter and supporters liaison officer Kenny MacLennan on the show to help me find out a wee bit more about the opposition. Well, Kenny, how do I find you?
Yeah, everything's good, Scott. Everything's good, mate.
Good.
Good to speak to you again.
Yes, and you. Thanks for
to-
giving me your time. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, and looking forward to the season, you know. We ended it well last season, so optimistic to see what happens this season. We've taken in some good players, so fingers crossed.
Really looking forward to touching on that because, well, as we're going to go through, as per, we'll go through last season and we'll kind of talk about it because it's a very eventful season. I mean, I forget about it because he was getting Malcolm Mackay got, as well, you know, hell of a lot of plaudits at the end of the season. But it's some
Absolutely.
sticky times at that beginning, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a valid point. You know, I think there was a few people when he got appointed were unhappy with the appointment, like, you know, and maybe latching on to the past issues and stuff like that. But you know, it's a long time ago, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, the guys apologised for that, and you move on. You know, simple as that. You know, everybody's entitled to you know their opinion, I guess. But my viewpoint was I just want the best for Ross County. You know, this guy's going to give us the best, and you know, great. And he's done. He's well proved himself. You know.
Right,
with the
so
signings.
Before we get rattled into that, because that's interesting. One of the big ones
sure.
I want to talk about. Tell us a wee bit about Ross County. I mean, what's going on up there? Like, you know, as supporters, we can be really self-absorbed at times. So it's always nice to hear of like clubs in Scotland that are actually doing a wee bit above and beyond and kind of looking after their own.
Yeah, well, certainly, but you know, like Malky's taken in a guy called Enda Barron, who's the main guy that does all the recruiting and stuff like that. He's like a database.
So where's he from?
I'm not sure. I think he worked with Malky at Watford, Cardiff.
Right, okay.
So I think there's possibly history there, but he's certainly got an eye for a player. You know, he seems to be very well respected on that front. So he seems to have done a wonderful job. But the Malky's been taken in to basically look at the whole footballing structure of Ross County, you know, because I think the chairman had made the decision that we couldn't keep fighting relegation every season, and you know, being in that position all the time was very stressful and not good for the club and not good for its staff either. So I think the decision was made to take somebody in who could look at the whole structure, look at the team, look at the type of players we were signing, making sure we weren't wasting money and taking people in that was going to do a job and be better than what we'd had in the past.
It's
So,
interesting because I remember we spoke about it at the time, Kenny, when we spoke last October, and
uh-huh.
it was quite a bold decision to get rid of John Hughes, considering what he'd done for the team and the club.
Yeah,
But I think we were both agreed that because of his almost celebrity status in Scotland, he was kind of elevated a wee bit higher. And I felt that Malcolm Mackay was more a strategy management signing, just exactly like you're saying. And it takes quite a set of balls to do that for a club, doesn't it? Really, it really does.
yeah. Well, I guess the chairman doesn't make the money he makes in the oil industry without knowing a bit about business, you know. And he was very loyal to the people he's had, and he's quite rightly said himself that, you know, it was the hardest decision he ever had to make was to part company with Stuart Kettlewell and things like that, you know. So
definitely.
he would have been like everybody else. Everybody would have wanted these things to work. You know, the guy Stuart's a legend with the club. So, but you know, that's football, I guess. You know, it's a results-driven business, and it's a short career for a lot of people. You know, it's. I was listening to a thing on Saturday, like, and they were saying the longest-serving manager in the SPL at the moment was Callum Davidson, and
really?
it's only 2 years. Yeah, 2 years and something. So that just shows you, you know.
That is wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But that's it. But yeah, so Malky's been taken into look at the whole thing, structure and that. So I know the academy's been extended, and you know their community programs and stuff like that. So they're going around all the schools, Shetland, Orkney, Thurso, Wick, up the west, Fort William, as far as Elgin. You know, so they're covering a massive, massive area. If you think of the size of it, I mean, the Highlands. I think I heard somebody saying it's the same size as Belgium. So you know, it's just not got the same amount of people.
It's not got the same amount of folk, right?
Aye, but
I think I understand the Belgians better though.
But geographically, if you think about that, that's a challenge, you know, for any club to take on an area like that and travel away up the west coast or to the islands, but they're willing to do it to try and find that gem, you know, because
there's that infrastructure that we all hope our club have, don't we? We all kind of want our club to be looking.
Yeah. They're all. I mean, the thing is, they've turned out gems in the past, like Gary Mackay-Stephen and you know, other lads as well, and you know, some of them have gone on to bigger things, and you know, it's finding these sort of players. So you probably do have to have a fair reach. We've taken quite a few players in from the south and that as well, you know, so maybe players that have been let go by other clubs, we've taken them on and tried to develop them. So Tom Grovossi was a really good player that we picked up from, I'm not sure where we got him from, but a boy from Liverpool, like, you know, that young lad. But what a fantastic character off the pitch, just a total pro. He's playing in Ireland now, playing with a team in Ireland. But really, really nice guy, but what a quality player for his age. You know, just his passing ability and the way he played football. You know, he always the head up, looking for a pass and stuff like that. You know, you just thought this guy's got a bit of quality about him.
Guys, you enjoy watching, Kenny, innit?
Absolutely, and I would love to see boys like that get into the team and actually. It's like everything else, you know. For a team of our size, we don't really have the luxury to be able to blood players, you know, unless it's near the end of the season and you know you're safe. Whereas if you guys are saying, well, we've got League One, we can start firing guys in or whatever, you know, and do it that way, you know, or you can sneak one in and hope that the rest of the guys around them, because of the quality you've got, you can blood these players, you know.
Well, it's still no easy in our situation. I mean, you're talking about that Lowland League. A lot of us consider the low league too low for what we want. Do you know what I mean? Like, ideally, in an ideal world, League One, maybe you would have a team in there. But again, I'm no.
I thought that was
Lowland League. But I'm never going to tell a League One team, their fans, your team doesn't matter. My second team's better. Which
I thought that was going to come about. I thought like Colts teams from Rangers and Celtic were going to end up in some sort of the lower league.
The lower league's the kind of highest we can go at this point. I don't know. I'm still to be sold on it. Know what I mean? Because well, you're an age with myself. We all remember reserve leagues, and reserve leagues had its pros, had its cons. Same as this, lower leagues get pros, cons. Sending guys out in loans definitely gets pros and cons, and then you've got Aberdeen just in the past month telling us we don't want any more of your loans, even with one of our best players.
Yeah.
But that's good though. That's good. I mean, like as I say, to kind of summarise what you're saying there, a wee bit of investment in your club from your top guys. It's not a case of all the money's coming in and it's going straight out. At least there seems to be a plan there. Do you know what I mean? That's quite positive, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Are you wanting some? Are you wanting some names that you can watch out for at the weekend when you're?
Well, we can do that. We can do that in the next part because I've actually got that in my list. You're trying to sneak up because I always keep in tow with the boy Reed that you put me on. I know. Yeah, he went down to Coventry. It was actually kind of having. I've always kept ever since you spoke about him. I've always kept him, and he's not made that breakthrough yet. But
no,
still
very much. Yeah, exactly.
I was very surprised. Maybe there wasn't a loan back up to you guys at some point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what the deal was there, like but you've only got to look at Ross Stewart as well. Another player that we get a sell-on clause for. So I'm hoping somebody snaps him up so we get some money.
Well, you just get to buy on him. Oh, brilliant!
Yeah.
And he'll go for decent dough.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done well.
Right. Well, we'll batter in, right? So, what have I got here? Right. So, as per these early seasons, right? So we're going to look back at last season. Last time me and you spoke was September last year, and that was the point County kicked off the season with 2 draws and 2 defeats. We had the somewhat questioning the Malcolm Mackay approach and obviously the early stage of the season. So Celtic won that day at Celtic Park, 3-0 scoreline. As I remember, the scoreline was kind of belied Ross County's performance. It took a Cameron Carter-Vickers deflected goal to open the scoreline, and that was midway through the second half. And then we scored 2 goals further in the second half to win 3-0. I appreciate it was a good long while ago, but even when we spoke that time, each result, it wasn't there was no doings. It was all kind of, you were losing a goal here, maybe a wee mistake was getting punished, but I certainly felt from you there was a lot of positivity.
Yeah, I think it was a huge turnover of players. I think they got rid of about 14 players, and basically it was almost like a new squad, so it was always going to take time for it to knit, and the first 10 games I think we got nothing, and it was just everybody was like, oh, this is not going well, but then that game at Dundee just flicked a switch. It was almost like that was the turning point. It's just everything knitted together, and they just destroyed Dundee that night for 5-0.
To clarify that, right? So as you said, things didn't really turn out. It took to the 27th of October before you even registered a League One, and you'd already been bumped out the League Cup at that point.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
You guys travelled to Dundee on the 27th of October. You had 7 defeats, 3 draws in the first 10 games, leaving you guys flat bottom, 4 points behind Dundee themselves. Yeah. So before that game, what was the general feeling? I mean, I think it's always interesting talking to you because you've got that different perspective, because you are meeting with the players. You can see how hard they're trying, and you're meeting the manager. You can kind of see the wee things he's changing, whereas the punters must have been going daft.
Oh, definitely. There was a lot of people saying that this is it. A lot of people, I told you so, this was a disaster, blah, 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 blah.
Well, there you guys.
So whereas if you were actually watching the team play, they actually looked a lot more organised. They looked I always felt that Ross County teams quite often didn't have a very good structure. They'd be like sort of headless chickens, sort of chasing the ball and stuff like that. Whereas you could see what Markey was trying to do. You had them sort of like they knew their roles, and they were, the same structure every time, and you were starting to get it. You could see that it was coming, but you just wondered, is he going to get the time to actually do this?
Mm-hmm.
And you just wonder, is it going to be, is this going to be an absolute disaster of an appointment? And the chairman's what's he going to do then? But that result at Dundee, and I was saying watching that, and I was like, wow, and the quality of some of the goals, just unbelievable. And you just thought, this is it. Hopefully, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. It literally was like a switch had been flicked, and from that point on, they just went on such a good run of results, and no major doings really.
No, I mean you lost to Rangers 4-2 away the next game, but as we've often said, these games are somewhat of a free hit. But so that 5-0 win in the next 22 games of the season, you had 9 wins, 7 draws, an excellent return to form. And during that period, you only lost to Rangers, Hearts, Dundee United, Hibs, and of course Celtic. And there was that.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to that famous or infamous, should I call it, for your perspective, 2-1 win in December, which was an absolutely massive moment for us. What was your memory of that one? And it must have stung a fair bit.
Well, aye. Yeah. I mean, I remember that was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the 96 minute
right? Yeah.
winner, or was it 97 or? It
was the 97th minute.
You got a lot of extra time. I don't know how that happened. Come on.
Well, your big boy rattled somebody in the face with his elbow, but
it's
not about us. It's not. And then he gets sent off for his troubles.
Yeah. It was unbelievable that night. It was just, I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. You saw it coming. You just thought, this is what's going to happen here.
You saw it coming. I certainly didn't see it coming.
But a big difference in the way we fought in the game and the way we were organised. So credit to Malky. He has, and even our team. This season is completely different again, but this time not so many loans and a lot more 2-year deals, 3-year deals. So
again, we'll come in.
Maybe more settled.
I think that's mega interesting for Ross County. And as for the reason, but so on the 9th of April, a late Homebhoys penalty was enough to take all the points from Aberdeen and secure a top 6 finish. An absolutely amazing turnaround.
Unreal.
Now, County finished the season with 4 defeats from 5, and a point at Hearts was the only kind of post-split point, meaning that County finished in 6th place, 10 wins, 11 draws, 17 losses from the 38 games, 47 goals scored, 61 conceded, meaning a minus 14 goal difference. County finished 5 points from Motherwell in 5th place, and weird as it is, because it's our league, you were 8 points worse off than Livingston, who finished in 7th place. And the Scottish League was very much come and go, 1-0 defeat away to Livingston in January, putting paid to any hopes. So, go for it. Give me all your thoughts and feelings on the season. I mean, obviously you're in the split. Relegation is not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
I've have to say, I mean, I'm just looking at the results now. All reds and yellows to October, and you finished in the top 6. Some achievement, innit? Some achievement.
Absolutely, 100%. And, almost making Europe. I would never have, if you'd asked me that, I would have said, nah, no chance, But now, with the team that he's got together, and he's better prepared this time round, he's done his business early. He's taken in, I think, 8 or 9 players. So, and quality as well. You're going to see a different Ross County team this season. Okay. They really were all over Hearts on Saturday. The first half was all Ross County. And obviously a different Hearts team the second half. They must have got a bollocking, but massive performance in the first half. Some of the guys that I'm going to mention, like Awura Edwards. Wow, what a player!
Okay,
So,
Right, so do you want me to go through all these guys, right, and then you can pick them out?
yeah.
I need to do my stretching here because there's some out of ones as well.
I'll tell you ones to put a wee star next to.
Right, okay, right, all right. So you had a decent amount of turnover, but as you rightly said, no as many loan players. So outgoings first. So Carl Donaldson left for Falkirk, Blair Spittle joined Murrow, Reagan Charles Cook left for KAS Eupen in the Belgian top division. All of them left on free transfers after completing their contract. Harry Payton, Ben Williamson were both released, while Logan Ross, Matthew Wright, Adam McKinnon, Ryan MacLennan and Connell Ewan all departed the club for season-long loans at Lossiemouth, Montrose and Forest Mechanics, respectively. Jake Folkins, Ashley Mawer-Brewer, Jake Burrows, Joseph Hungo, Declan Drysdale and Canyon Ramsey all returned to their parent clubs on after their loan periods finished. So incomings, here's the good ones, right? So there's a couple of names in here. Right, so we've got Victor Loturi, a 21-year-old Canadian midfield was signed from Calvary FC for an undisclosed amount. We've got Jan Danda, a former England under-17 cap winger who was picked up from Swansea in a free transfer. Now, the 23-year-old was a Liverpool youth player and turned out over 60 times for Swansea in the English Championship. A 21-year-old left-back, George Harmon, joined the club from Oxford City in a free. Jordan Hawula, a 27-year-old forward, was picked up in a free after his contract at Doncaster Rovers ended. Hawula has represented England at under-19 level. 26-year-old left-back Ben Purrington joined from Charlton Athletic, where he played over 110 games and competed at League One and Championship level. 25-year-old right-back Callum Johnson was picked up from Portsmouth in a free transfer, whilst William Akio, a 24-year-old South Sudanese forward, was picked up for an undisclosed amount from another Canadian side, Valour FC. Awuri Edwards, the aforementioned, was loaned from Bristol City for the season. A 21-year-old winger, Kazim Oligby, has been loaned from Southampton. That 19-year-old midfielder represented the Belgian under-19 side. And finally, Jay Eastwood, a 25-year-old keeper, signed a loan for the season from Sheffield United. And Eastwood had previously had a similar arrangement with Kilmarnock. So, go for it.
So
right, let's talk about the outgoings first. Don't need to go long on it. I mean, Homebhoys had been a good player. Obviously, Reagan Charles Cook was outstanding last season. I mean, it was actually would it have been how it wasn't the last season. There was a season I watched him and live, and I said, by the way, that boy's a player, man. And it seemed every year he was at ease, he got better and better.
Yeah.
It must be a bit of a shame, but that's what it is.
Yeah, he's not. He wasn't properly settled when he came to the club, you know. So when we first saw him, we thought he's a bit lightweight. You know, is he actually going to be able to do this in Scotland? You know, but different player last season, just completely different player, and found his confidence and top joint scorer, I think. So you know. Great, unbelievable season, like and you know, a lovely guy as well off the park. Just a gentleman. Yeah. So this, you know, I think, and like Blair Spittle, I was quite sorry to see Blair go because he was a good player, like, you know, a solid player.
6 goals for last season as well.
Yeah, good guy. You know, always gave 100%. You know, so he'll do well for Motherwell. I think he'll be a good player for them. Yeah, so again, another big turnover of players. Always a risk when you have loans. You know, players if they go back to their parent clubs, and unless you can extend the loan or you get some sort of deal that you can get them. I remember us getting Jackson Irvine from you guys on a development fee type thing, like, you know, and what a player he was for us. You know, helped us win the League Cup.
I mean, look at him now. He's flourishing in the Bundesliga too, in Zweitliga. He's a good player, But you also had Hickey after us, didn't you? Leo Held for a while.
Yeah, that's right. He's another good player.
He buggered off and left us at all.
But again, he's another guy that you saw and you thought, he's got a career ahead of him, you know. But Awura
Right.
Edwards,
So let's get to your new guys.
get into it. So this is, so the ones that are going to score against you. Awura Edwards is going to put one right in the top corner, like just he's gonna light the place up on Saturday.
Right. Okay, I'm interested.
All right. Having said that, I watched your game against Aberdeen, and I'm a wee bit worried. I was like, oh. I was really hoping Aberdeen would do something so I could sort of say, we might have a chance. We might have a chance, but geez, oh. Yeah, you're pretty potent going forward, like very quick. Aye, it's looking. It's hard to see how who's going to stop Celtic again this season, unless there's some dramatic turn or whatever. But I can't. It's hard to see. There's so much quality all over the park, and.
It was interesting to kind of talk about us for 2 seconds. I spoke to the Aberdeen boys and I've done my fair bit of research into their new guys, and Aberdeen certainly seemed like a club on the up, especially after last season's. And I was expecting a wee bit more from them last season, but you do honestly forget how the quality that Celtic have got. And
yeah,
they were talking about kind of playing in to your defence. We could ruffle him up, but
yeah,
the game's played the opposite side of the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the movement, because I watched quite a lot of the games at the weekend, and certainly the Celtics' movement off the ball and the pace going forward and stuff like that. I just thought, it was impressive. Yes, it's a home game. Interesting to see how they come up against the likes of Ross County on Saturday, because it's a travel up the road to ourselves. It's a smaller, tighter pitch.
Never been easy.
No, smaller, tighter pitch, and a different team. So it's difficult to do your homework on a team that's been on.
You guys have already played your League Cup and you played the Hearts game, right? So from the new guys who, as you said, your man Edwards looked like the real deal. What about the rest of your boys?
Well, I would say that the backline looks pretty solid, to be honest. Baldwin, Ikevitti, Randall, Parrington. Parrington's a great player. You'll like him.
Right.
You get a look at him. Very good player.
This is a fullback, is he?
Yeah. So in the middle, we had on Saturday we had Callahan and Tilson. So you've got 2 guys there that are kind of battlers. Callahan likes to get forward. Tilson's more like the sort of defensive sort of midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Wide, we had Sims and Awura. So both of those guys were playing as wingers. And then we had Dominic Samuel, who was kind of sort of dropping deep, and Hawula up front. So there's a lot of more potential on the team this season. And even the guys that are on the bench, like Jan Danda, Laturi, Watson, Harman, Ligby, Patton, Harry Payton's brother, Ben, Jordan White, who came off and scored against Hearts on Saturday. So you look at the squad and you look at the bench, and you're sort of thinking, we've actually assembled a decent side this season, and we've done it early. And the chairman's backed Malky quite considerably there to basically put a team out that, I remember Roy saying at the end of the season, got to the top 6. We just almost got Europe this season. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. Let's get that. Why not? Try and get into the top 6 again. And if we can, let's snatch that European place, because that's something we've never done. Mm-hmm. So let's see what happens. It's a big call. It's a big challenge. But hey, you need to have these things. You need to have your targets, your goals.
100%. 100%. You can't keep just hoping, like you said right at the beginning. You can't just keep hoping to avoid relegation. Because see, as a football fan, that would drive you crazy.
Yeah. Well, we quite often the county fans would be like, much preferred it in the Championship. At least you saw goals.
You're winning,
you saw wins. In this league, you're just getting thumped all the time, where you're being defensive or whatever. But under Malky, I have to say, attacking football, quality football, and just 100% difference. So I really hope that you'll see a different Ross County side on Saturday, and it'll be a good game. I really do think it'll be a good footballing game. because they're both quality sides by the looks of, on paper. You know, so intriguing to see how it turns out. You know.
So you brought up Jordan White. I mean, so Jordan White was one guy I picked out straight away. He stands out, quite literally stands out because of the size of him. But right, so aside from the new guys, tell me a couple of names to be looking out for. I mean, maybe they won't be involved in this game, but they guys that you think have got a future in the game that maybe pops up down the line, maybe Celtic or Rangers or somebody, or the way Scottish football's going now, there's more eyes on it. There's a lot more eyes on Scottish football just now, not only for England, for Italy, for all around the place. So it's good to hear about these guys.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, Jordan White. I like Jordan White because what you see is what you get. You know, he just puts in a shift. Very difficult guy up front. You know, holds the ball up well. Always puts in a challenge. He's always in there. Just, you know, he's an awkward bugger to play against, really, and that's something that great to have on your bench or to start with, if depending on your tactics. You know, so yeah, no, I've got a lot of time for him. Like, I think he's a great player and took his goal well against Rangers, and took his goal well on Saturday as well. So he can score.
It was a good goal,
and in this team, possibly there's more chances coming his way. So it'll just be interesting to see how he has to take a claim for himself by putting the ball in the net, and he did that on Saturday. So why not? You know.
So what about any young fellas in that squad are looking for?
A lot of the young boys are good, like, but they've been put out to a lot of the younger lads, the sort of local lads have been put out on loan. To try and sort of get them sort of like regular football and sort of senior football to try and progress them, you know. So not a lot with regards to the young guys within the actual Laturi is quite young. Yeah, he's a great player, you know. And
impressed with him, have you?
I've been really impressed with him. The 7-0 against East Fife, his goal was an absolute gem. A lot of quality goals in that game. I know it was only East Fife, but you still have to score 7. You know.
Who knows? As I'm going to tell you right now, trying to get a hold of highlights of that Premier Cup thing is nigh on impossible.
It's getting more and more difficult to get bloody games like, you know.
We'll speak about TV in a second. Right, so we'll talk about that then. We'll talk about it. So he's only had the one match in pre-season. It was a 4-1 win over Brora Rangers. And then it was straight into League Cup action, right? So you had a draw and a penalty win over Buckie Thistle, setting up a good campaign. His win over Dunfermline at home, and a good 2-0 win over Alloa, and then a 7-0 humping over Eastfide meant that County topped the group, 3 wins and 1 penalty win from the 4 games, 11 goals scored, 1 conceded, beating Dunfermline to the top by 4 points.
Aye, who did we get in the bloody draw?
Who did you get in the draw? It sends us back up the road. I think it's the 30th of August. We're coming back up to your midden. I hate Kenny.
Believe it, man.
Kenny, I enjoy chatting to you, Paul, a hell of a lot, but I hate that trip. I'm far too old for that.
I used to, in fact, any away trips that I went to, it was always a long trip.
I can imagine.
And you know, it was like, and I'm not going to say it, like, but I'm going to say it. Dundee, wow. If you think ours is a middle.
I bet. See, Midden.
I'm going to get killed for
that. Midden's an old Glasgow colloquial thing that it just means your park. Doesn't necessarily mean Midden. So right. So no offence, man. No offence, man.
No,
right?
no, I know.
So let's get into Saturday's game. Now, as I just said there, finding highlights from your Premier League, Premier Cup games was hard, right? Which is quite frustrating, but it is what it is. I think I saw the Dunfermline one. I never saw any of these five one, which is something they should really sort out. Every game should be shown. I mean, but that's what it is. Hearts game. I watched the highlights of the Hearts game. I stress the highlights. and everything you said tied up with the highlights. You look like he's absolutely tore them apart in the first half.
Yeah.
I went and looked at the stats. I looked at the minutes by minute as much as I could. And sure enough, I mean, you've hit the bar. And then they've come out. They've obviously got a rock up their arse. They're at home. They're a good team.
Yeah.
I would say, and again, in my opinion, you would...
Ball watching.
For the second goal, must have destroyed you, the manager, the players.
Yeah.
But,
too easy.
I mean, that should be clear, shouldn't it?
Yeah, he just walked right through us, and that can't be allowed.
Yeah.
It's early days, but still, to have that kind of performance in the first half, I would like to have seen us come away with at least a draw. But
it would have set a good standard for the rest of the season going forward. Because
definitely,
no matter what the Aberdeen boys last week said, I thought Hearts were a good team. They weren't that impressive, but I thought Hearts were a good team last season. And to push that mark close is also encouraging as well. But you don't want to get into the rut, do you? Because you've done that last season. You were in games, but you'd lose it for whatever reason. So I suppose you would like a better start to the season.
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, as we said earlier, the 10 games, the first 10 games last season were really difficult. And it wasn't a good start at all. So this season, looking for us, I honestly do think we'll cause a few surprises this season. I really do. I think there'll be a few upsets because there's quality in that team, and I think they're only going to get better with game time. You could see that in the cup run, in the group stage there. They were just started off first game ropey. Second game got better, next game got better, and then 7-0 thrashing of East Fife. You could see things were starting to knit together. Players knew they were running, and it just looked better for me. So, fingers crossed. They'll pick up some surprise results this season early on, which hopefully will set them up for a good points return again for the season, and hopefully get that top 6 position again.
So. I mean, the aim, I suppose, even at this point, you're talking about Europe, which would be an unbelievable achievement considering the 10 games last year. But to even get yourself to the point where you're consistently challenging for that 6th place, for that 5th place, would be a step up from the history of Ross County, because you've had seasons as well. I'm preaching to as well. That you guys have had good seasons in isolation up there, and they're up there, but you've had to become that consistent side, I suppose.
Yeah. Same as historically, if you looked at like St Johnstone, they used to always be top 6. You almost put your money on them every season, and it's only really the last 2 seasons after that double cup win that slipped a wee bit. It's almost like that's a monkey on their back now. So I don't know, but. We'll just have to keep our heads down and just get on with it and take each game at a time. And I think the guys, I honestly do think there's some quality in the side.
It'll be really interesting to see the squad going ahead this season, because when we spoke with Malcolm Mackay last year, it was my supposition that basically you'd go him in because he's got a lot of contacts.
100%.
Right, that was my intonation. And if you have now took the next step of that progression, where you aren't getting a big wad of loans in, you're finding young guys who are maybe stagnated here, or somebody who needs a fresh start, and I think it's massive. You said it right away. It's massive that you're giving guys 2-year contracts. It's not that 1 year overhaul every year. Yeah, it's interesting. It really is interesting.
Yeah, no, I think you'll see a difference this season, Scott. I really do.
And then the next step is trying to get decent dough for your players, isn't it? That's the next
step.
Well,
that's it. I mean, if they're on 3-year deals and 2-year deals, then if somebody wants them, they'll have to pay for them. And I do think there's no two ways about it. Other teams will see these guys and think, "Wow, where did they pick them up?"
It's going to be really interesting.
So
I'm looking forward to it now. I wish I could watch it.
Yeah, I know.
So what about that part then? As I am led to believe, and you can probably know a wee bit more than me, the SPFL vetoed all pay-per-view as we did last year, and they've said that Is it basically 3 o'clock, or is it just you can't sell your own games now because of Sky?
I think the likes of Hearts TV, I think, and possibly yourselves, you can stream it to overseas fans, but not UK fans.
That's right. That's been the case for years.
Yeah, that's right. So, I believe, certainly from our perspective, anyway. Like, I think, we've seen the fans coming back into the stands, and obviously the Sky are seeing that as well. That fans are coming back into the stadiums in big numbers. The same demand's not there for the streaming. So the cost of us putting on Ross County TV, which had Stephen Craigan, Rory Hamilton, guys like that, it's a lot of money for a club the size of Ross County to have guys of that quality. So the chairman made it clear at the start, when we were doing the streaming, that he wanted to put out a good product. And it was a good product. John Hart's in that. We had, a lot of good guys coming up into the studio and that. So, but to sustain that with low numbers, with everybody coming back to the stadium, it's just not good business,
Right, okay.
And the cost side of it, like for us to be able to set up all the cameras, studio commentary, everything else, it's just not viable.
So that was a club decision then, because I wonder, obviously I am talking from a total selfish point of view here. Everything you said to me in terms of Ross County is 100% fair, and then on a bigger viewpoint, I suppose you guys have got to look after your supporters. So I can understand why you guys don't want to flood your stadium with our supporters. Even though we've got, a lot of us have got the big-headed opinion of, but don't you want our money? Don't you? Is your money not good enough? Don't you need our money? But as a football fan, you don't want somebody taking over your ground. It's plain simple.
And I think the difficulty at Ross County is it's a small stadium, and our season ticket holders are spread out through three stands. So you would effectively have to take everybody out of the East stand and say you're getting moved for this game. You wouldn't be able, but we wouldn't be able to move them all into the West stand, and then the ones in the jail end, and then you're like, well, for these games, you're second class. You're getting moved because we want the Celtic money. So that
it's 100%.
Well, exactly, and the chairman's not short of a bob or two, as you know. So he could quite rightly have said, well, we need the money. The club has to sustain itself. I'm not always going to be here, But Roy has always said safety over money, And at the end of the day, we've had
away fans for your support.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And we've had away fans in amongst us. We had Hearts fans in, whatever, and some of them have managed to get in. And luckily, so far, there's been no hassle. There's been nothing. But it would only take one incident, Scott. Yourself, and I'm not part of the operations team. I'm not on the security side or whatever like that. But I listen to these guys at pre-ops and post-ops meetings and stuff like that, and it's an absolute nightmare, because the stadium is quite small, and there's a lot of pinch points and stuff like that. So it's quite difficult for these guys on a match day, and Rangers and Celtic, with all due respect to both clubs, they're huge to come up, and for us to try and deal with that numbers, it's massive, and it's I don't know if we could extend the stadium and extend the stands and accommodate everybody. There'd be nothing better because the atmosphere is amazing. You guys and Rangers fans and Aberdeen and Hearts and whatever, when you come up to Dingwall and the North Stand is just absolutely bouncing, and it's a fantastic atmosphere, and you want that at football. At the end of the day, that's why we go to football. It's tribal, and we all enjoy it, as supporters, and you want that blood flowing. You want it, and the players want it. The players want to be playing in that. You want to experience that, but I guess supporters, it's a difficult one. You have to look at it, and have to be a realist at times, I guess.
Ah,
And you have to look at it and say, well, do I want to be sitting as a Ross County fan and looking at 3 stands of Celtic fans, and thinking, well, and think this is my hometown, Now, fair enough, Livingston maybe don't have the same home support that Ross County have, so they're quite happy to say, well, we can sell 3 stands to Celtic or Rangers. Great, and that's generating really good income for them. I notice that other clubs are sort of backing away from that a wee bit now. I think it's St Mirren or whatever are sort of saying, well,
St Mirren cut it for this season. I'm led to believe Kilmarnock are only getting us behind the stand now.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a difficult subject and it's a difficult situation, and I've had a lot of guys, home fans as well, disappointed that they can't watch the games pay-per-view anymore, and and other ones trying to get tickets and stuff like that, and they can't get tickets because the allocation goes to Celtic, and then once that allocation's gone, everybody's desperate for tickets and stuff like that. It's a difficult situation.
Definitely. I mean,
it really is.
The ticketing on our side's a nightmare. This is going to be a total frustration. I've not managed to get a ticket. I'm not high enough in my bus to get a ticket, so I've not got a ticket this game. Would I travel up with the hope of picking one up outside the ground, considering the demand? Maybe if the game was on the telly, but if the game's on the telly, there's a good chance I got there and I'm sitting in the Mallard just getting drunk.
That's true. True.
So at least when I'm down here, there's ways and means of kind of hopefully seeing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think Scottish football needs to be a wee bit. There needs to be more talking with the whole thing with regards how do we sell our product or how do we make our product better? And I don't think there's anything better than Ross County having 3 big full stands and Celtic getting their support. And then the same going when we've got our stadium, you guys fill your bit. I'm so pro 20's plenty. I think the £20 for every away fan, every game for everybody, brilliant.
Especially the way things are at the moment, it's expensive.
And see today, see last year, I bought, I think it was last year, it would have been the year before, I think I bought the pay-per-view for you guys. Again, you could have probably, but I always thought, well, if I bought a ticket off them, it's good to kind of give back to the. So I used your facility. But you think, we've signed up with Sky, this multi-billion pound broadcast. How can these guys make a pay-per-view channel for this game?
Yeah, it's chronic. It's really chronic. And I think it's always the supporters that suffer.
Definitely.
And every chairman will say, the support, or every club will say, the supporters, the lifeblood of the club and everything. Like, well, give us what we want. We want to see, Matt. We want to see games. We'll quite happily pay £15 or whatever for pay-per-view. Yeah, you just want to see your team play. And if you can't get to the game, that option. And quite a lot of our supporters as well are sort of like elderly. So, and a lot of them are quite nervous about coming back into crowds and stuff like that still, even although the COVID thing is whatever, and, they don't have that option now. So the only option they've got is to get themselves down to the stadium or miss out in the game. And it's sad, really. They would quite happily buy a £300 season ticket to be able to get pay-per-view, and that's why I don't.
But it's mental. It's just sitting talking about this is two different. No offence meant at all. We've got a smaller club and we've got a bigger club within our relative system. Yeah, and we're basically agreeing with each other about how we should be doing things. I mean,
I think we're all the same. I think at the end of the day, if you take the colours off, Scott, we're all the same.
Just a punters,
you know what I mean? We're just punters that like to enjoy a game of football, And at the end of the day, I don't know. I think the establishments, I honestly do feel they need to sit down and because the product could be a lot better. We all know that, and the way that it's structured and how you view it and stuff like that. There's options for clubs to make revenue there, additional revenue. But I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But
Yeah, whole load
It's
of
sad,
things.
you know. I was quite
Minority
disappointed
rules
that
in a lot of ways in
yeah,
Scottish football as
and
well.
Sky rules the roost, unfortunately, you know,
But what
or
always
Premier
frustrated
Sport,
me,
whatever.
anybody who listened to our main show, right, and God bless you, thanks, but I've maintained for years that we are doing things arse for elbow. I think what we should be doing as a country is filling every stadium by best means,
Dropping the price.
dropping the price, make it more
Yeah.
fun. Did you see? I mean, the stewards, with the Motherwell fell and stuff like that.
Oh,
Be a wee bit right. See if somebody's been an arse, arrest. Don't
yeah.
treat all your
Yeah.
like scumbags.
Uh,
A wee beer
yeah.
at the game wouldn't kill people.
No,
And see if you could fill these stands, you could make it an antithesis to the English League. You could make it somewhere. Because I know guys who come for German football or here.
Oh, it's supposed to be.
And they come out here, they come and see Scottish football. And you think about it, if we do it right, Premier games on a Saturday, first and second division on a Friday night with the Lowland League. So you could have games and you could make a big football weekend. But we don't.
Yeah.
We just we shit in our own league far too much.
Aye, definitely.
That's my part of political broadcast finished. Right, let's go into the game, right? So we Saturday night, right? Say that again.
I'm saying I'll vote for you. Trust and Reece.
Good man. So we Saturday in mind, right? So I've looked at it from day 5 games you played this season. Mackay's changed up just a wee bit. So he started with a 4-3-3 for the Bucky Thistle game, a 4-2-3-1 for the Dunfermline in these 5 games, and a 4-4-2 for the Alloa and Hearts matches. Now, with Saturday in mind, and with your new setup and your new guys, how do you expect you guys to be going? Are you looking at a physical approach, or are you looking for more a pace approach, or is it more a contain? What do you think?
I think there'll be an element. Well, I would say there'll probably be an element of containment and try and. I think the only way you can play teams like Celtic and Rangers with the quality that you've got on the park is to not let you play, or try not to let you play and get in your face. And because if we let you play, you'll tear us a new one. Simple as that. And you know, I think we've been guilty of that in the past. We've been too defensive and sitting back and waiting for it to happen. Whereas I remember a game a few years ago now where I think it was it 3-2? You guys went 2-0 up, and then we came back 1 at 3-2 at Dingwall. And that was that kind of performance, and that was the 40 game unbeaten Ross County side that had Stuart Kettlewell, Richie Britton, all those guys. And those guys weren't superstars, but they were workhorses. And they got in your face, you know. And if you let people like Kyogo and these sort of players play football, well, that's it. You know, you're just not going to get anything out of it. You have to, you know, you're as well just staying in the dressing room. In my opinion, if I was there on Saturday in the dressing room, I'd be saying, get out there, get in their faces, and do not let them dictate to you. You know, this is 90 minutes. Get out there, get into them. Don't give them a minute on the ball. If you give them a minute on the ball, it's a small pitch, tight pitch. It's not going to be like Parkhead where they can move the ball about and whatever. It's like get into them. Whether that'll happen or not, it's going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see how it pans out. I really am.
It's good, mate. It's really good. I know. As football fans, we're all kind of positive after pre-season and stuff like that. But it's good to hear that from a Ross County fan, because you do get a lot of detractors, and it's I don't know. I'm enthused by the fact that you guys seem to have a plan. I think that's if there's a plan in place. I think that's magic. Right. So with that in mind, what is your hope for the season? Right. So give me a wee prediction for the game, however realistic or unrealistic you want, and then tell me what you want from the season. Right. And I'm as high as you think your team can get.
I would say it would be. I would be disappointed if we didn't get into the top 6 this season.
Right.
Given we've spent money this time around and we've got guys on contract and we've taken in better, I would say, some better quality players than what we had previously. You know, and I think you'll see guys like Owura Edwards on Saturday, and you'll be like, Regan Charles, who?
Really?
You know? So honestly, I really do think you're going to like this guy. So I think there's players there that once they get a few games under their belt and they start getting to understand Scottish football and they get the pace and everything else, and the team starts to get to know each other, I think we will cause a few upsets. So I'd be disappointed if we didn't get top 6. Saturday's game, love to see us sneak it. It's hard not to see a Celtic win, if I'm honest. That's hard for me to say, but just going by the quality and whatever, you know, that there's so many people that can change a game, you know. But I'll go for 1-1.
Right, okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right.
Hope you're totally wrong, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, Kenny boy. Oh yes, crack
yeah.
on.
No, I was just going to say that I'm basing that based on the fact that we're a new team. You're not going to have had an awful lot of time to do any kind of sort of real analysis on us, and a lot of new players, new faces. So there'll be a bit of interest there. And if Celtic come up thinking they're going to get an easy game on Saturday, I think it'll be a bit of an eye opener, because I think they will play good football, and I think it should be a cracking game. I only think it'll be.
Oh, very good.
You know.
Give me a ticket. Give me a ticket. Right. So we'll finish up there. As always, thank you very much for taking your time. As I say, I know you're a busy man. I know you've got a lot going on and stuff. Thank you for taking your time and doing this with me. Really
total pleasure.
I've really enjoyed it. I'll get this edited up, get you copied in. As per, anybody wants to follow you, where do they find you on social media?
At RCFC_SLO
Good
on
man.
Twitter. Yeah.
Lovely. Right, Kenny boy. As I'll go for the old cliche, hope your season goes great after Saturday. And all the very best, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, same to yourself, Scott. A pleasure as always. Thanks, mate.
I'm going to take you down to a little town on the edge of a highland shore, and to the greatest team you've ever seen. They're renowned the world o'er. They've been my pride and joy since I was a boy. I couldn't ask for anything more than to be in the jail and when the county score. I remember when I was 10, my birthday was the start. I got a shirt of new West Staggy blue with a badge across my heart. My father took me down to the edge of town. We crossed a bridge and I heard a roar. I first stood in the jail and to see the county score. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hear the jail and roar. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When we see the county score. Ever since that day I've watched them play. I've been a Staggy all my life. From the good old years in the Highland League, rising up to the top flight. They're a little team of modest means. They're the team that I adore. I'll always be in the jail and to see the county score. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hear the jail and roar. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When we see the county score. Now you can't deny every county side plays with passion, heart and fire. When they make me sing, I'm a jailhead king in the heart of the Gadgie choir. I've seen legends come and legends go. I've seen moments of instant allure. Oh, down in the jail and when the county score. Whoa.